All right, so before we begin, we have all participants are on mute. Just to offer a better experience, this webinar is being recorded. And please use the questions panel on the right to ask questions. I will try to monitor that as best I can throughout. If I don't get to the answers during the webinar, I will be sure to send an email to the people that ask those questions and make sure I get those answers out to you all. For future webinars, please log into blatchfordmobility.com/webinars. You can look at other in videos on our YouTube channel, blatchfordinstitute.com. And any questions, you can send it to mike.mcgee@blatchfordus. My name is Chad O'Connor. I'm a regional clinical specialist with Blatchford, based out of Colorado, but travel around the country, upper Midwest a lot, and out to the West Coast, and really wherever is needed. Been with Blatchford 5.5 years. Prior to that, I was an area manager for a large company and a hip specialist for the state of Colorado. Used to fit a lot of Linx under my hip patients. And that is my contact info down there. You can scan that QR code if you'd like and ask me any questions after the webinar. So let's get into what are the objectives today. We're going to identify Blatchford's 3 microprocessor knees and their unique features. We are going to be looking at the proven clinical benefits and kind of through the clinical research. We're going to understand kind of each of the features of these products. Obviously, this is an overview. We're only going to spend about an hour on 3 products. And each one of these products has a full education course that we could go into. And we're going to look at the latest updates of our products and apps. First of all, I always like to look at this, kind of start with the timeline. Blatchford is the oldest manufacturer in the world since 1890, based in London. But throughout that time, we've had a lot of firsts in the industry. For example, we had the first, the stabilized knee. We had the first modular limb that was created, and we had the first commercially available hydraulic ankle. And then, obviously, we'll talk about today the Linx, the first fully integrated limb system, and the first microprocessor controlled hydraulic ankle. So a lot of firsts in the industry and a rich history. Now, as Blatchford created new products, we wanted to make sure we were creating products that really did help our patients, right? So in order to do that, we first had to look at the research and what our patients were going through, right? So first of all, we all as clinicians know the challenges of our patients, from them coming to the office, hearing them, listening to their stories, their struggles, what they are having to deal with on a daily basis. This is just some of the research that then backs up what clinically we've already experienced in the field. 58% report at least one fall per year. We all know that there's an increased energy expenditure, and the higher the amputation level, the more energy is required to walk. It's 2 to 3 times more likely to develop osteoarthritis. 60% report moderate to severe back pain within 2 years of amputation. And 41% report residuum skin problems, and a quarter of these are pressure ulcers if left untreated. So what does all this tell us? Obviously, there's a lot more research out there too, but just this in general tells us, all right, well, what can we do to make a product that's going to help decrease the chances of falls, decrease the back pain, decrease pressure ulcers, right? And overall make it more energy efficient to walk. So we took that, and one of the big products we had was a hydraulic ankle, and then the microprocessor controlled hydraulic ankle. And through that development, and then since that's been developed, there's been a lot of research showing the benefit and the efficacy of these hydraulic ankles from us. So first of all, we have socket stress is reduced by 81%, and loading rate reduced by 87%. That directly relates to pressures on the residual limb. So by decreasing the pressures, decreasing the loading rate, you're now preventing pressure ulcers just by the choice of the foot underneath. And we have more toe clearance with that right there, decreasing chances of trips and falls. And we have a reduced metabolic cost of walking. So using less energy to walk and actually walking faster, a 7% increase in walking speed. So that's a hydraulic ankles, right? Obviously, we're talking about microprocessor knees. Well, we have the microprocessor controlled hydraulic ankle built right into the Linx. It is fully integrated limb system. So now you have a knee and a foot that are talking to each other, communicating. Because what's the first thing that hits the ground? It's going to be the foot. That reads the information right away, sends it up to the main brain, and the brain in the knee, the computer, a CPU, takes that information and says, all right, we're going to make changes to the ankle, and we're going to make changes to the knee at the same time. So fully integrated and communicating that way. So let's look at what it does. It senses the wearer's movements on terrain, all sorts of terrain. It adapts the knee and the ankle in real time to give a smooth and coordinated response. And it helps to restore more natural walking and enhance confidence and comfort. It's won multiple innovation and design awards. And let's look at the standing support here. This person's standing one leg with their knee bent, and that is because that ankle dorsiflexes, and with the knee slightly bent, it locks as well. So not only does the knee lock, the ankle is going to increase the resistance to give that support, and that'll happen on all sorts of terrain. Then walking downhill. There's a lot happening on this slide. Let's break it down first by foot. If you look at the foot, as you go down the slope, the plantar flexion resistance decreases to help get to foot flat faster. And then the dorsiflexion resistance increases. That gives support and a nice smooth tibial progression walking down the slope. Okay. Then once you get to level ground, everything evens out to the medium resistance for both plantar and dorsi. Now let's go back up and look at the knee. So as you're walking down the slope, it goes from high resistance to a medium resistance and then low. Now, normally it goes high resistance, low resistance for stance phase, swing phase. By it going to a medium resistance before it goes to low resistance, it allows the patient to stay on the prosthetic side just a little bit longer. And what does that do with the challenges that we talked about just briefly a minute ago? Well, by loading the prosthetic side just a little bit longer, you're equalizing the balance of the body weight over. So that's going to decrease hip and back pain. So I said 60% report moderate to severe back pain. That right there, by shifting the body weight over to the prosthetic side more for just that little bit longer, helps to balance that out and decrease that back pain. And that is specifically done by that knee resistance going from high to a medium and then to low. It allows them to stay on that leg just a little bit longer. So that's walking downhill. What happens going uphill? We have a ramp assist mode. So what it does, you have plantar flexion resistance that increases. That allows the carbon heel spring to be loaded and give a better energy return, essentially propelling, boosting the patient up the slope. And at the same time, the dorsiflexion resistance is decreasing. And that allows you to get over the forefoot easier, using less energy, being more energy efficient to climb the slope. That's at the foot level. Now, the Linx is fully integrated, knee and foot talking to each other. So what does the knee do? At that same time, the knee actually reduces the pneumatic resistance. So it allows for slightly more heel rise to happen to help improve toe clearance going up a hill. So therefore, there's less hip hiking that needs to happen and easier to clear the ground, climbing the hill, using less energy overall. All right, now we have then going down into stairs descent mode. So it recognizes there is no heel or toe load going down, and it has a high resistance going down the slope and or stairs. And Also, the pneumatics kick in to propel the foot forward after you release and take that step, really making sure that that foot is where it needs to be going down the stairs. And you can see it's a very steep stairs going down. That resistance ramps up as the knee flexes, giving them support. And there's another example of going down a very steep slope here. It's able to just ride that hydraulics. You'll notice there the foot plantar flexes. It has good control going down, and then the knee provides that extra resistance and that extra support going down. With the pneumatic swing phase, so the cylinder is hydraulic and pneumatic. You'll notice here in this video, he starts off slow, gradually increases his speed, and that heel rise control is matched on the sound side, matches the sound side very well, and it's very smooth. And that is due to that pneumatic control, that hydraulic stance phase, pneumatic swing phase, really propelling that foot forward and that knee into extension. Very smooth, energy efficient. So once again, talking about that energy expenditure, by having the pneumatics propel that foot forward, it is decreasing the overall energy expenditure. So the Linx, just like the Orion, has 3 user modes. You have the fixed flexion lock. This allows patients to do things like this, where they're plank, maybe leg lifts, or you could set it in a flex position, and that could do things. I've got patients that play bocce ball with it, or are able to ride behind a dog sled, actually, in the flexed locked position. You've also then have the cycling mode, just low resistance, able to cycle on a stationary bike or a normal bike too. And then, of course, training mode is more for physical therapy, gait training. It really provides the fundamentals to help patients reach their next ability, because it focuses on overall gait training, allows them in physical therapy in a nice, secure, and safe place. They can work on their gait training. So in summary of the Linx, it is truly unique. There still is nothing like it in the industry. Fully integrated, the foot and the knee talking to each other, but being independent in the way that the knee, or the computer can tell the knee to do something different than the foot. But at the same time, it is being coordinated, because you want the foot to be doing something different going down the hill at the same time that the knee is doing something, in order to give the most support and the most energy efficiency. As I said, it coordinates that movement between the foot and the knee. And then it provides that braking effect going down slopes. What's interesting is it does provide braking, but people are able to go down slopes in a more controlled, smooth manner, and in fact, actually start to go down slopes a little bit faster, just a little bit quicker, because they have support, more confidence, and they can put more weight onto the prosthetic side. So the design limits the distal weight. We keep the battery up in the knee and not the foot. Also, on top of that, it is a very large battery. Typically between 3 and 5 days people are getting with it. And I've got people that will go on camping trips for 10 days at a time, and they are able to turn it off because of an off switch. Each night they'll turn it off, and that conserves that battery all the way through those 10 days without an issue. Stop and support. As soon as you stop walking, it locks the knee, and then it also ramps up the resistance of the ankle to give that support on all terrain. And once again, the foot responds in real time, and it maintains that great energy return. So it really is a balance between hydraulics, carbon fiber, working together, utilizing that the best ratio of carbon fiber versus hydraulics to create the most energy efficient gait. All right, so we talked about the Linx. The Linx is, as I said, the Linx was great for your K3 patients, higher K3, Not typically into the K4, but it could work for your lower K3 as well. So wide range of patients, but oftentimes you are fitting on the more of the K3. Orion is a lot of the same technology in the knee portion of the Linx is in the Orion, but not all of it, because you don't have the foot component and the fully integrated system. The Orion really is a knee that does it all for MPK. So it will work for those, even all the way down to the high K2 patients, up to the K4. I've seen people be able to get up their speed even into a light run, like across the street or something. Obviously, it's not recommended for running any distance or anything like that, but it has the speed capabilities to keep up with you. But it also works for the patients that just want to be able to get out and walk a little bit. Maybe as I said, that higher K2, and it can grow with the patient. So if you've got somebody that is maybe right now they're high K2, but they have that potential to be up into the K3, the Orion can be a great option for that because of all the adjustments that can be made. So it responds in real time, proportionate, creating that natural, smooth, easy walking and great stability. It's quick and simple to program, really a minute and a half to program it. But there is lots of fine tuning. As I said, it can accommodate a wide range of patients. So the key features, we have situational awareness. So it's constantly monitoring. We have that enhanced stability performance. So that's going to be the controlled stance support, dynamic slope and stair descent, standing support, stumble recovery, and supported sitting. That's all during the stance phase. And then we have that natural, efficient motion during swing phase. So it's built with the same cylinder that the Linx has. So it's a hybrid hydraulic and pneumatics. The hydraulics are involved in the stance phase. The pneumatics is involved in the swing phase. So let's first talk about the stance phase. Controlled stance support. We have supportive hydraulic resistance during normal gait, and then it releases immediately before swing phase. That provides that most optimal support and stability through that entire stance phase, but then doesn't hold them back when they transition to the swing phase. You have optimal stability throughout that stance, as I said, creating that greater safety and less effort on all terrain. And then we have a new and improved stance flexion control. What that does is it actually provides extra resistance if the knee recognizes a rapid flexion moment. I think about it going down slopes, and you're going to stop really quickly. You're going to plant your foot. That knee is going to rapidly flex. It recognizes that and actually gives even more support. So patients can actually stop quicker. Going down slopes and stairs, you'll see in this video that as he goes down, it starts off yellow, meaning a medium resistance, but then it ramps up and actually increases that resistance as the knee flexes. That provides support and confidence for the patients going downstairs, and that resistance is adjusted and customized by you as a clinician, giving them that ability to support them going downstairs, but give them the resistance they want for sitting. Overall, more controlled, more confident. Once again, that shifting that body weight onto the prosthetic side more is going to decrease overall back pain, decrease the chances of osteoarthritis, because you're no longer putting as much weight onto that sound side like oftentimes our patients are doing so much. And then we have standing support. This is going to be done, or this is going to happen in both a fully extended position as well as a slightly flex. You'll see in this video, she's got it slightly flexed and it locks. So they can put all their weight onto their prosthetic side and be confident and supported while they're in that position. But it also is going to lock in a fully extended position. Why is that important? Well, think about if you're on a slope. If you're on a slope facing downward, that knee is going to want to bend. And so you either have to dip your hip a little bit, let the knee bend, and then lock, or you have to be constantly fighting and pulling back with the glutes to keep that knee straight. Well, with it being locked in full extension, now all they have to do is stand for a moment, um, keep it fully extended. It locks in that, and then they can relax, no longer dipping the hip, therefore keeping your hips and pelvis level, decreasing your overall back pain, and making them less tired at the end of the day too, because they're no longer having to fight to keep that straight on a slope. So that's one example. Another example is if you're in a crowded space and your knee is straight, but somebody comes running back behind, a little kid or something, and bumps into the back of your leg, that could cause that knee to buckle a little bit. But being locked in full extension, that provides that safety and that confidence that it's going to be locked until you take that step. So providing that uncompromised stability. You can, with the Orion, you can change the settings. You can decrease the sensitivity of that, essentially of when the standing support engages. So if somebody wants it a little bit more delayed, you can provide that little bit of a delayed feature to have that engage. Then, of course, enhanced tumble recovery. Just like going downstairs, during a swing phase and that gets interrupted, it's going to start off with a high resistance, but then it's going to increase and continue to ramp up that resistance, giving that support for the patient to get their sound side forward. And at the same time, once they get their sound side forward, unweighting the leg, that pneumatic extension assist kicks in and really helps propel that foot forward, getting that knee straight to give them support and confidence. So decreasing those trips or decreasing those chances of a complete fall if they do stub their toe. And then supported sitting. Just like I said, going downstairs, as that knee flexes, the resistance ramps up. So the lever arm is increased as the knee flexes. We match that with the increased resistance. So you no longer have that drop-off effect because as the knee flexes, lever arm is increased. If the resistance stayed the same, they're going to drop into the chair eventually when they get to that certain point. This keeps that resistance high and continues to increase it, giving support all the way through. So it once again encourages that balanced limb loading. So big thing is equalizing that limb loading, providing more load to the prosthetic side, balancing the musculoskeletal system for our patients, decreasing those overuse injuries, decreasing back pain, and overall being more energy efficient and stable. All right, so let's go into the swing phase here. We've first of all start off with this optimal stance release. That's gonna, as I kind of mentioned earlier, it's gonna release right at that last moment of stance phase, providing the safety all the way through, but then releasing right at that last point. And there is no mechanical spring to overcome. As I said, it's a pneumatic swing phase. So it is easy to initiate swing, and then that pneumatic takes over and just pushes that leg forward into a full extension. And it is very suitable for the K3 and K4, but these parameters can be customized to work for that high K2 patient as well. We now have also a newer heel rise control. So we have low-level hydraulics that starts at a predetermined angle. This next slide will show it really well. But what it does is it allows patients to essentially go faster, quicker. So I'd like to think of it as somebody going slow and then all of a sudden going into a fast, very fast walk. So what happens, you're going along and without heel rise control, you'll see right here, they're going along and they pick up their speed. You'll see excessive heel rise with the without the heel rise control, but then with it, it manages and controls the heel rise. So what happens as they accelerate, they're able to get to their top speed that much quicker. You'll notice up above, without the heel rise control, you have excessive heel rise, and then you have to catch up. And it takes that many more steps to get up to speed because of that excessive heel rise. Whereas this one, you're already at your top speed several steps earlier, and overall making it safer and using less energy. And then just like the Linx, you'll see that the adaptive speed control, as you change your speed and increase, it keeps up. The pneumatics, it's almost like gears in a car. I kind of think of it as 5 gears in a car. And you can, as you're changing, as you're increasing your speed, increasing your cadence, it shifts into a higher gear, essentially extending that knee faster and keeping up with you. Very smooth, very natural, and very efficient. So once again, allowing that patient to change their speeds without even thinking about it, because the pneumatics control and kick in to fully extend it. Terminal swing damping, that will kick in right at the end to prevent that terminal impact, but also allowing those patients to be confident that that knee is fully extended and the foot is out there for them to take that next step. So in summary, the Orion 3, the unique benefits. We have controlled stance support. We have that dynamic slope and stair descent and standing support. Stubble recovery, as I said, if that foot is caught during swing phase at all, it's going to ramp up that resistance and provide a very high level of support for patients to get their sound side ahead of them and prevent an overall fall. We have that supported sitting. Once again, as they're sitting, that resistance ramps up, allowing them to really shift their weight over onto their prosthetic side, giving them that support and balancing overall their hip and their backs, and giving the controlled sitting, so they don't have to worry about reaching back for the chair as much either, because they have that support and that confidence that they have the resistance that they need. That is that deep yield. I was just talking about that high resistance. So it can be further optimized by the clinician. So it's kind of set as a default at a certain level. You can then change that in fine tune if you need to, but it provides that support, and it really allows you to customize that supported sitting and the stairs and ramps because of that yield rate and the sitting resistance. And then during swing phase, you have that natural efficient motion because of the pneumatics. You have optimal stance release. So it's going to release at that last moment right before swing phase, and then easy initiation because there is no mechanical spring to overcome, and adaptive speed control. So truly is microprocessor controlled pneumatics, allowing that knee to extend at different speeds depending on the cadence of the patient. And then terminal swing dampening. So that's going to prevent that overall terminal impact, but make sure it's out there so patients are confident that it's there and ready for their next step. So we talked about the Linx, the integrated limb system, fully communicating with the knee and the foot, working together. And that's that for that K3 patient, just very smart leg overall. Then we've got the Orion, a great option for those high K2 all the way up to those K4 even patients. As I said, I've got very high level patients on that, but also got patients that they just want to get out and play with their grandkids. They want to be maybe out in the garden, but not really going for long hikes or playing sports. So a wide range because of how much the Orion can, how much you can adjust it, how much fine-tune capability there is. It can work for a wide range of patients. And you can put lots of different feet underneath it. You can put those very high active carbon feet that will give that energy return underneath the Orion for those high level patients. Or you could put the a lower level hydraulic, maybe a hydraulic ankle that even a K2 hydraulic ankle, for example, you could put that under there for those patients that need just want stability underneath and safe and stable, but they're not going to be doing those high activity activities, right? So that's the Orion, wide range of patients that it works for. Then let's go into our brand new knee, the Avior. We have built this one truly for those K2, even the K1 patients, K1, K2, maybe getting into the low K3, but it was definitely built for the K2 patients, that population, right? And we built it featuring our Smart Step. So that is our digital care management platform, okay? As I said, it is truly built for the low activity amputees, K2 community ambulators, and brand new amputees. Let's get into a little bit of this. The last couple months, we've done some some webinars specifically on the Avior. So I'm just going to touch on some of the highlights of it to round out our MPK webinar. But once again, this is truly built for the K2 ambulator, but at a higher, can be capable of a little bit higher speeds of 2.5 miles per hour. And it can handle a little bit faster into that low K3 too. So once again, the indications are patients weighing up to 125 kilograms or 275 pounds, brand new patients, the K1, K2, and low K3 patients, and obviously patients that have the capability to handle the haptic signals and feedback of a microprocessor knee. Currently, it's not indicated for bilaterals, osseointegration, or transpelvic amputees. And it is not for the level 4 or higher K3 patients. So what is the Avior built for? We've got the basically configured settings. So we call them configurations because each kind of setting is further configurable, or further fine-tuned, you can make it. But you've got the lock, so that means it's going to be locked in stance, and then locked in swing phase as well. So stiff leg, that's going to be your brand new patients. Low, your K1 that really just needs it locked all times. Okay. Then you've got the lock free, and that's going to be locked in stance phase and then free in swing. So that's your next level where they need that support and that safety during stance phase, but now start to open it up into swing phase to get a nice, smooth, natural swing, a little bit easier to walk, but still have that safety fully during stance phase. And then, of course, you have yield free, which is going to be like your normal microprocessor knee that you're used to, where it's yielding in stance phase and free in swing phase. So in all of these modes, you have the ability to add stance flexion. So even in lock, you can have stance flexion of 10 degrees, which really provides a great option and safety going down a slight gradual slope. Because now the knee is going to be locked, but it will give a little bit, and it'll be a hard stop at 10 degrees or whatever you set it at. And that gives that a little bit of safety, because no longer going down with just a completely locked knee, you can actually kind of let that knee flex just a little bit to help you go down that gradual slope. But then you have that confidence because it's a hard stop and not a continued yield. Okay. All of these settings, all these configurations, you also have the capability to sit. So even in lock, it is going to allow the patient to sit. All right. So we have a biomimetic design, polycentric knee. What it does is it really does mimic the natural motion of the knee, kind of that gliding, sliding motion. You have really helps create a nice, smooth, natural progression. It helps to ensure the socket is pressed against the wearer when in a seated position. It also provides more resistance all the way to 110 degrees, where most knees drop off at 90 degrees and no longer have resistance. This is going to provide resistance all the way to 110 degrees. So going into a deeper, lower chair, they're going to continue to have that support all the way through. And then it also provides a nice stable position in a fully extended position. It's going to be very stable. Any anterior force against it is going to further promote it into full extension even more. So just very stable position because of that polycentric design. So the Avior, as I said, is built with the 3 base configurations: lock, lock free, yield free. But the reason why we call it configurations is because in each one of these, you can fine tune it even more. So for example, you can adjust the stance flexion. You can adjust the stance extension. You can also adjust the swing extension control from normal or fast extension. You have standing support that you can fine tune. You also have controlled standing and sitting, which you can fine tune separately. And you have dynamic slope and stair descent, which is a separate resistance that you can program from sitting. If you don't touch that in the fine tune, it's going to default back, or it's going to default to whatever you set the sitting as. But you can actually have a separate one. So, which is a great option because somebody's going downstairs oftentimes want a little bit higher resistance, a little bit more support going down the stairs than when you're sitting. So having that ability, the knee can recognize whether you're sitting or if you're going downstairs, and it will have the resistance that you've programmed separately. So giving them support, confidence, but having that fine tunability there. What's great is as their mobility improves, their confidence improves, you can go in and change those settings. And ultimately, you can change those configurations, the base configurations, right? Start off on that lock, and then as they progress, you can change them into the lock free and continuing to provide that progression and no longer holding them back that we're used to with our mechanical K2 knees that we would have to put on patients where it provide that safety in the moment. But as they progressed, those mechanical K2 knees, eventually they would hit the wall because the technology of the mechanical knee would not keep up with their rehabilitation progress. So now with this knee, you can actually grow the knee with them. As their rehabilitation grows and their progress improves, you can now, the knee will adapt and improve with them and continuing to provide that progression. And ultimately, if they get up to that K3 ability, now you can put them into a full K3 microprocessor knee, but this knee will grow with them and adapt and allow them to reach those next goals, reach the next milestones that they want to reach in their rehabilitation progress. So let's get into controlled sitting. The sensors and the advanced algorithms detect the sitting motion and provide that yield resistance. So the criteria is you have heel load, posterior shank movement, and an angular velocity deceleration. And what you can do with this is it'll recognize, so even in a lock configuration, it recognizes the criteria to sit, and it's going to lower the patient down, having that high yield resistance. You'll actually have a starting resistance that you'll program, and you'll have an ending resistance. So depending on where those two numbers are, will determine how much of a ramp up the resistance happens. And as you can see, this is a lower chair, and he's getting resistance all the way down to the chair because of the 110 degrees of resistance provided. So here's a great example showing these two scenarios. The starting value is set the same, but the ending value is set differently. And you can see the difference in the ramp up and how much the resistance ramps up. This graph, we just cut it off at 60 degrees, but the resistance would continue to ramp up to 100 degrees and then maintain that to 110, having that high resistance all the way to 110 degrees of flexion to provide in those deeper chairs. All right, so once again, you can program the stairs separately. from the sitting. So the Avior adjusts the walking speed and controls that steady resistance going down and provides that support all the way down the stairs. What's great about that is you can actually have a little bit more of your foot on the stair because you have a starting resistance that you can program separately from the end resistance. So you can actually have the starting resistance set a little bit lower than maybe even your sitting resistance, have it set a little lower. That helps to initiate the flexion moment going downstairs, and then have a higher value for the end resistance. And that's going to ramp up the resistance a little faster, a little quicker, giving that support to go downstairs, but easier to start that flexion moment. So providing that confidence, no longer having to fight the knee to get it to break as much. And that's why you're able to have a little bit more of your foot on the step, making it easier to initiate flexion, but having the ultimate resistance you want for the stairs to give support and confidence descending the stairs. All right, then stumble control, sorry. So stumble control, it happens in all parts of stance and swing phase. So even in a swing flexion, if there is a stumble that is recorded, it goes into a high yield situation, giving support and confidence for the patient to get their sound side forward. This video shows that even in a swing flexion, stumble control, stumble support is still there. It's still active. So we have a wheelchair mode. Great option if you extend the knee between 10 and 45 degrees. You have 5 short beeps. Now it's going to stay up. Therefore, you can wheel around in a wheelchair, and the way you get out of it is you either extend it and it's going to drop down, or if you bump it into something or somebody runs by and kind of bumps it on accident, it's going to drop out of the way to make sure it's out of the way. So once again, you're seated. You can extend the leg between 10 and 45. It's going to stay in that position, so you can wheel around, and then if you just extend it further, it'll drop down, or hit the chair and it will drop down. So the L codes for this, it's going to be like your microprocessor needs you're used to, except the L5615 instead of L5828 is the 4-bar linkage, fluid swing and stance phase control. So all PDAC approved L codes. All right, let's get into the Smart Step. As I said, the Avior is the first prosthetic device we had built with Smart Step. That is our digital healthcare management platform. Okay, it does both iOS and Android device. Currently, it is in the Avior and the Tectus, which is our MP CAFO. So what does it do? What's so great about the Smart Step? Well, we looked at it as something to develop for you guys to help you more efficient with your time, because we all know we're all busy in the clinics, got a lot going on, but we also want to make sure we're taking care of our patients, right? So we wanted to build this technology that gives you the tools that will help you enhance your patient care. It's going to make more efficient use of your time and overall improve clinical outcomes. This will help you in the long run be able to go to insurance companies and prove and show the benefit of what you're doing, and overall just continued support for your patients too. So what does it do for the clinical team? Well, you've got programming. So simple programming through the app. All the products will be on that one singular universal app. So right now it's the Avior and the Texas, but we'll have the future products on there, as well as eventually we'll have the Linx and the Orion and Elon onto that app as well. But one simple app for it. But the tools you have with it, you also have Gait Visualizer. It's a great option for you. Take a video of your patient walking, and it synchronizes the video with the data and the sensors from the device in real time. So it shows you what the computer's doing, what the device is doing, and also what they're doing gait-wise. Okay, going to give you the ability to access device data remotely. You can actually request the patient to carry out an activity session at home. So this is a great tool for assessing if a patient is if they're having some struggles at home. You can have them record a video, you'll watch it, and you'll say, you know what, you need to load the toe just a little bit more, or take a more equal step length. So it might save them a trip in. If they live a few hours away from your office and you're booked out a couple weeks or longer, this might help solve those issues, and it could be a really quick, simple fix, right? You can send surveys to patients, right? And this overall have that data sharing capabilities. So it's going to allow the prosthetist, physical therapist, doctors, and the patient to collaborate effectively and efficiently. So very collaborative care management platform with this. And then we will have physical therapy access. It's not there yet, but we will have a same app, but with different access permissions that physical therapists would be able to get in. They could do some minor things that you as the clinician would grant the physical therapist to be able to do. But what it does, one example is, let's say you start somebody off on a lock configuration, but at therapy, you want them to be in a lock free because it's a nice, safe environment. You want them to start to recognize the gait patterns for a lock free. Okay. So the physical therapist could change that mode to lock free only in the PT session. And then when they go home, they're back into the lock configuration. The physical therapist could also access Gait Visualizer and activity sessions to help them with the rehabilitation goals that the patients have, and overall help you as a clinician, because they could send a Gait Visualizer to you, and then you would look at it and say, let's make a little change, a little alignment change. So one second here. I see somebody raised their hand. I don't have any way to unmute. So if you just want to put in type your question in the question and answer chat, then that would be great. Wait one moment here if anybody wants to type that. Okay, I will keep going. Like I said, if you've got a question, okay, when is the release of the app? The Smart Step app is released now, but the physical therapy app access, I unfortunately don't have an answer for that. I will have to get back to you, and I can send you an email in regards to the physical therapy app access. Like I said, the Smart Step app itself is out, but the physical therapy will be coming soon. All right, so what does Smart Step do for wearers? Well, for patients, they can view their daily, weekly, monthly activity usage, walking, sitting, standing, stair usage, all of that. It's also going to help support and track their own rehabilitation progress. They'll be notified of maybe service intervals and when their warranty is due to expire, that type of thing. And then you can also do surveys and activity sessions. So for example, you'll see here some screenshots of the slide. They can complete a survey. That could be a questionnaire that the clinic has. Some countries, there might be certain questionnaires that have to be filled out for insurance purposes or reimbursement purposes that can be put in there as a survey or a questionnaire. But the activity session, as I said earlier, really simple to do. You could send them a notification to do that activity session. What they'll do is they'll click on it, start the session, and basically hand the phone to somebody to record the video or maybe prop it up somewhere. Or their caregiver could hold the phone, right? They do the activity and they can review the video, but once they're happy with that, they confirm and continue and then send it on to you. That gets uploaded into the secure cloud and you can view it as a clinician. And once again, you'll be able to also see the data of the sensors of the device. But it might be as simple as take a longer sound side step, right? So great tools to help your life and your clinical team be more efficient and overall better patient outcomes too. So in summary, we have safety and confidence. Walking down slopes, no problem. It recognizes going down the stairs. When standing still, it's going to lock in both full extension and in a flex position. You also have a manual lock with that. So if you just want to not even have to worry about it, you can turn on the manual lock. Stumble control, once again, it recognizes every step and will trigger if there is a stumble event that happens. Sitting down or standing up. So I talked a lot about the sitting part, but you also have a feature as you start to stand up again, it has a ratchet feature that as you stand up, it starts to lock, helping the patient stand up. But if they're halfway standing up and they want to sit back down, if they hit the same release criteria, it will lower them back into the chair. So it's kind of like an abort feature, allows them to lower back in the chair, giving them support all the way back into the seated position. As I said, you've got the 3 base configurations, but then you can further modify or fine tune each one of those configurations. Once again, you can sit in all of the configurations. You can also add stance flexion into all of the configurations. And then you have the Smart Step app, a fully collaborative digital health platform. So that allows the prosthetist, the wearer, the physical therapist, the physician to all collaborate and help get the best outcomes for your patients. Allows you to track the activities, record the exercises, and on top of that, you also have the ability to send a gait visualizer to one of the clinical team members in the US, like myself, and we can review it and we can give advice or feedback or suggestions, or if there's something that needs to happen with the software of the device, or we could even send that on to the engineers and they could review it. So it's a great tool for also assessing little things, whether that's a gait issue or a little software tweak that needs to happen. So that's all done within the Smart Step app. All right, so we have, once again, we've got the Linx. It's a great K3 option that fully integrated limb system, the foot and the knee talking to each other. You've got the Orion all the way from upper K2 all the way to K4 options. And then the Avior, truly built for the K2 patients and with Smart Step and that digital health platform built into it. This is a nice little brochure here that has all those 3 knees and the QR codes there of each one you could scan that provides some additional information. You can also reach out to any one of your regional sales reps that can get you this information, or set up an education course where myself or one of my colleagues can come in and teach education where you have a patient there too, and really get some hands-on experience with any one of these knees. And if anybody has any questions, this is it. Thank you for your time. I'll stay on for a little bit longer if anybody wants to have any questions. This is my contact information here. The QR code there will pop up my email information as well. The different prices in the US, you'll just unfortunately have to reach out to your regional representative. You can send me an email, and if you don't know who your person is, and I can find that out for you. But the prices, they will have to go over that with you. I'm not sure of all the prices. Water tolerances, they are the Linx is weatherproof because it is connected with a cable in there. The Orion is a new waterproof IP55 version, so it can be splashed. You don't have to worry about it being around water at all. It can be hit by water jets, quarter-inch nozzle all the way around. Technically not submersible, but it can handle lots of water. You saw in that video the guy's kayaking, no issues there. The Avior is actually even a little bit higher water tolerance, IP65. So technically the same water tolerances as the Orion, but even higher dust tolerance. There will be a quiz. Yeah, it will be sent out via email. So you'll probably be receiving that from Mike McGee. So look for that email in the future. If you don't get it, you can send me an email and I'll make sure that it gets out to you. Well, thank you again for your time today. And as I said, don't hesitate to reach out via email to myself or any of our teammates.